start out by saying your name and take us back from basically when you got out here to, up to the chain of events up to now.
All right, I'm Lieutenant Wes Vandorn. Now, as far as the chain of events from when I got out here till now, or till the incident, I need you to be a little more clear on what you think.
When did you get out here?
May 17th. And upon getting here, I was told I was going to be the maintenance divo, which was the first time I knew about that. So I started, went to the Mo and asked him, what is expected of a divo, what I'm supposed to do, and he told me to go in the NAMP and read about it. So I did that, and also realized we were having some. When I first got out here, birds were flying, everything was really good. I got more time in May than I have any other month since I've been in the squadron. I was only there for the last 13 days of May. They did the 105 ops and everything, and birds were flying, everything was going really well. And I was flying a lot, so I had just gotten here, so I hadn't really gotten to get in with the people very well and get to know my guys that much. As I started to do that, I've seen the way other people run, when I say run in quotations, as divos, I've noticed most people are not at all active as divos. And that's something I wanted to change. So, first thing, I was told was really important was to do training jackets, to check on training jackets and everything, and I got a horrible turnover on the training jackets. I don't think most of the divos, everyone who's ever looked at them, had ever actually, knew what they were looking at. I think they signed them, and that was it. Very little officer oversight for maintenance from, as far back as I have, been able to see. So, getting out different, going through the NAMP and going through the, trying to learn about the training program, trying to learn about, all the different stuff that I'm, there's like 20-some different jobs that a DET division officer is supposed to have in the maintenance department. Trying to figure out what all those are, how all those are work. Having, no one else ever actually done any of them before. The chief, the maintenance chief takes a lot of them. The Mo took some, and then the younger junior enlisted guys, took a lot of the other ones. So just trying to get all that stuff together and figure out what was supposed to happen. You started to realize there was a lot of issues with there's just an expectation that the divo is not supposed to do much or know much or be a part of what's going on. So that was something I really wanted to change. So I started working a lot with the guys, going, especially when we went into phase on 4-6, I was, doing the 12 on with the days, acting as a worker, working with, a CDI and a QA, trying, having them, show me, explain to me how their day goes, how filling out IPs and how they do their job from start to finish. And that, I learned a lot. Unfortunately, while all that was happening, we also had a mishap. So as I'm learning about maintenance, and sir, you've been in maintenance forever, so you know all the stuff like the back of your hand. Well, most pilots, never really get to know any of that stuff. So a lot of, I kind of wonder, what I think I know. Do I really know anything, or am I just, kind of gleaned over the top of it, and it's actually been taken care of in another way, or someone else done what I thought, or what the NAMP said a different person was supposed to do. like that stuff I'm really not very clear on yet. I know I was supposed to, when I got out here, I found out that it's expected that a Divo there's some Divo school. Be a good idea to start sending guys to that, because I came out here, hey, what's a Divo? What am I supposed to do?
Other board member says, what was your take as far as working with the troops? What did they tell you? What did you see that was right, wrong, that you had questions on?
They're hard-working young kids. Like when you talk about the troops, I think of I would say my troops are my E5 and below. And, good kids, hard-working kids, they want to do right. They want, but they're only going to do what's asked of them. They're not, they don't understand pubs. They don't understand, SOPs and, why maintenance is doing what they're doing, why ops is doing what they're kept in the dark about just about everything else. I don't think there is a problem with them. I don't think, and I'm sure that's the case anywhere. I mean, you're not going to, these young kids, they at least start out motivated. You get into issues with the E6s and above between me and them is where I see most of the challenges lying. And I think there's multiple issues. I think no officer oversight is a huge one. Divos not doing their job, MOs not doing their job, both here and back home. If you ask any other Divo back home, hey, what are your jobs? I don't know. I sign the training jackets once every couple months. Well, do you know what's going on in your shop? Aside from your random kid who gets arrested or your this or that, you don't see I don't think the guy I got this job from even knew where his jobs were written down, what was expected. You're in charge of FOD, you're in charge of fuel, and I'm just starting to struggle with stuff, trying to find out all this stuff, and I don't think they ever even knew what was that those were jobs that they were supposed to be dealing with. And I think that's a huge issue in our squadron, and everyone, Warrant will tell you, well, these are problems throughout the Navy. This is everywhere. This isn't just here. But I think in our case, lack of officer oversight, and then senior enlisted not using their officers, and I'm kind of struggling on how to say. I don't understand why the climate is the way it is, where you have a senior enlisted who doesn't want to actively. It seems like they don't really care about their junior enlisted. They're not taking the time. I've probably done 20 evals since I've been out here, and I always let this, it's me, my chief or senior chief, and then the person who sit down and talk about their eval, and they, all right, here, take the paper, make sure your name's right, make sure your social's right, look through it, tell me if there's anything wrong with it. They give them 4 minutes. I couldn't read it as fast as they do it. All right, you good? You done? Sure, Chief. Yeah. All right. Sign. You don't want to make a statement. Put your signature there. You're doing a good job. Kid has no idea what he's doing. Not looking after the troops at all. We had a kid last week. Chief, I think I have 54 NKO courses completed, not 10. Well, that doesn't really matter. Well, yeah, it does. If the dude's eval is wrong, let's fix it. So, there's definitely and I've had the same issue with training, same issues across the board with, hey, senior, or chief, or warrant, or, hey, my first class guys, how do we get this done? Oh, we do it like this. Do we really do it like that? Because that's what the pub says, but it doesn't seem like that's the way it's. Well, I'll tell you what. How about I sit in and watch you guys do it next time, and I'll see for myself. And then I have to have it listen, guys, we all know that's not the pub. Like, that's not what it says to do. Why are you guys not doing it? Well, sir, it's a lot of work to do it that way. It's really hard. We've got planes to fly. We've got other stuff to do. We got, it's like it's a people managing issue, I think.
Other board member says, you talking about training or
day-to-day maintenance, through phases, through, you can break this down and make it simple, or you can just go off of what everyone has always done and make it confusing as hell, and no one knows what's going on, and it's just like if you look back at the last couple, I think since I've been out here, there's been, I want to say it's 6 either mishaps or QA investigations since I've been here. And that seems like a lot to me. I've been out here for 2 months. Not even. And I was told, in every one of these QA investigations, I said, I don't think this has been pursued properly. I think these people aren't telling the story correctly. I think, well, what are we going to do about it? Well, and the answer is always, well, we're going to train them more. We're going to do more training on it. And every now and again, maybe we'll counsel somebody. But training, you just got to train. And I was told, and I was like, man, like if our QA guys are making this many mistakes, like, do we not think there's an issue with our maintenance leadership in there? And I was told, you know what? Like, at any given time, there are multiple investigations going on in HM14 at any given time. Multiple investigations as to, like, people, like, improperly doing procedures. Yep. That doesn't sound right.
other board member says, who's telling you this? Other board member says, Mo.
And I mean, he's a good guy, and he knows what's going on, I think, but I mean, that's a lot of investigations. And that, I mean, if you're constantly, that's not what I expected, as far as, and we got into this a little bit with the skipper here last week. I didn't know that's how it worked. And I don't think it's supposed to work that way. And I understand, like, we are hamstrung by our numbers of people and the quals they have, and it's we are very challenged. I can't. We have 3 QAs out here. I can't. It doesn't matter how many things wrong this guy does. I mean, the dude's been investigated for 3 or 4 different things. And those are just the ones that, have something has happened to the point where I know about it. That's not to say how many things have been covered up or other people have taken care of it or it's been handled at the lowest level or, whatever else. But I can't do anything about it. I can't afford to lose this guy. So we counsel him, train him, have him do some training on it. All right, you're back in there. Keep going.
Other board member says, who's this guy?
AT1.
Other board member says, okay.
And he's our all systems QA, so he's the only one we got. So and he's a good guy and he's smart and he means well. But it's one of those. If I had a couple other QAs, I'd be like, dude, you need to step back. We need to, let's make the, and I don't know all the rules. I don't know exactly what I can do, but can I make this guy a worker for a while and make him build back some confidence before he gets back in there and starts QAing stuff? No, he's out QAing again the next night.
Other board member says, now are you the Divo and QAO, or do they have somebody else as QAO?
So they've got a QAO out here too, and
Other board member says, okay.
And he's been very hands off, and I'm trying to get us as JOs more involved in what's going on out here, because we have not been, the JOs have not been doing their jobs. They're worried about getting calls, they're worried about different things, but there's no, I mean, if anyone should care about what's happening on that aircraft, it should be me and the other pilots, I think. It makes sense to me, because I'm the one who's going to get in it and have something terrible happen if it doesn't go right. And, we've seen how that works out. But I mean, like our squadron's very, we can't afford to lose anybody right now, which makes it incredibly difficult to deal with, the situations that are coming up, and I keep getting told that it's normal and it's acceptable, and I don't think it really is.
Other board member says, now with the mistakes that as far as QA is making, is it because he's too involved with the work and not actually doing the QA role as far as witnessing the inspection, or is he actually doing the work and signing it off kind of thing?
I think from what I've seen, if you like, and you have to take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I have not been in, I don't know this job that well, but so most of our issues came on nights. Most of our issues came with the same couple, our CDIs, our ADs. We have very weak ADs. One of them who I think we're getting out of here anyway, because she's got a bad back now. It's like, all right, now at least we can get her out of here. But then we got, the other one is very young, and no one's really sure what, there's talk of why she even got her CDI. And so we've got a QA, all systems QA guy who's, seemingly very, very knowledgeable. I mean, he can talk the talk at least. But then all the work they're doing at night, we don't have a light card out here, and I don't really understand that. I thought that would be a good idea when you're working at night to be able to see what you're doing, but I was told that that's a silly idea, that maintainers don't need that a headlamp or a flashlight's all they need. And I didn't keep pushing for that, but keep getting told that's a stupid idea. So I don't really understand that.
Other board member says it's because they're working to keep the aircraft on the line and doing maintenance out there instead of having it in the hangar to do maintenance on it.
Well, I mean, if you're going to fire up the ape or anything, you have to have it out of the hangar anyway. So, and when the birds are flying, they do most of the maintenance out of the hangar anyway. I was like, hey, if these guys are having such problems, let's get them a light. Well, I've been in the military for 20 years and I've never used a light. At 3 QA investigations, it said they could have done a better job if they could see. So I don't know, maybe that would help. So we had a couple weak people that, of course, we can't afford to get rid of because Home Guard can't afford to send us anybody else. And now so we've got some weak folks, and we're working on. I'm just now like getting a working relationship where I'm not just pissing off the Mo and just pissing off my maintenance master chief. I'm like, hey, listen, like, we can either work together or this is going to go badly for all of us. So. We're starting to work together now. Things are starting to improve, and relationships are getting better. And as far as manning and personnel, who's working what shift and all that, like I'm starting to feel like I have a say in what's going on, and who's going down to move the aircraft down in Osan and all that stuff. So some of it's getting better. I think a lot of it is they're just not used to having a divo who wants to have a say in what's going on, which I understand. But now that I'm involved, like, guys, like, this stuff's not the way it's supposed to be. Like, this, you keep telling me to read the pub, expecting me to not read the pub. I go read the pub, and then the way you're doing it's not right. And you're telling me you're doing everything by the pub, but when I read it, you're doing something totally different, and I don't understand why. And that's been a massive struggle for the past month that kind of all culminated when the skipper was out here. And I think our squadron's going to be going in a little different direction now in that respect. But everything that happens out here, I think, is an extension of what's been happening at Home Guard for a long time. We've known stuff's messed up at Home Guard, but not being a maintenance officer, I never really concerned myself with it. I was the tactics guy, so I was doing that stuff. But now that I'm involved in it, now I see why the problems back home were the problems that we had, and we continue to have back home.
Other board member says, back up for a second, you said that there was a CDI that has suspect quals. Who was that?
Well, when I say suspect, I mean she's a CDI. She did all the stuff to get her quals, and she got blessed by. She got her quals blessed by the people who were supposed to bless them. She's got her paperwork and everything. It's just, she's very young. She's E5, and she just made E5. It's not her fault that she doesn't know the stuff. It's just, I think it came down to they just didn't have anybody else to be a CDI, so they had to hurry her through the process, and now she's kind of in a. She's doing the best job she can. She's not, dishonest, but she's new. She takes a long time to do simple jobs and stuff because she wants to do it right. But it's, I think it's a pain in everybody else's butt.
Who besides you questioned her expertise or
Well, I never questioned her expertise. I just thought she had, some stuff that was going on was having, she was having a tough time with it. I don't know enough to be able to question. I just know when I hear, the Mo and the, senior chief and, the other E6s talk, if they're having trouble with somebody or, because a lot, they don't want me to know everything, they try to keep it away from me. But when you're out working with them, you kind of hear a little more and deal with it a little more than you would otherwise.
Well, what are they saying? What's their assessment?
Other board member says, is it just the time it takes her to get stuff done that's more than what it would take? Other board member then says, are things getting caught? Like, is she doing something and signing it off or doing it wrong? Or
I have not been told, because she's been on nights. I'll go out there for a couple hours at night, but anytime I had to fly the next day, I wasn't, I can't be out there. I'd come stop by at midnight or 1 o'clock, but then I had to go, get back and get some sleep before my flight. It was just, she and, it was, we'd come in the morning and, hey, this was supposed to be done last night. What happened? Well, sir, who was working on it, so it probably took a while. Again, I'm just glad she's leaving. She's lazy.
What's the status of her injury? Has she been prior to her getting cane?
No, she hurt herself probably a week and a half ago. I don't even know what she was doing, but she was limping around all of a sudden and said that she tweaked her back. It was an old injury. She'd fallen off of something like a couple tours ago, and it comes back every now and again, and it's like, she doesn't even know. She's never had it taken care of before, but it's probably a slipped disc or a tweaked nerve or something in the back.
But do you view her as a strong participant in the maintenance process during the night check stuff, or have you?
She's not. She should have. She's one of my E6s, so she should be. But she never has been. I have never seen her on the aircraft. I always see her in the shop dipping, which is always nice, or sitting there just BSing with people or smoking. And then when I asked her about this injury, I was like, I don't think you can carry a toolbox out to the aircraft and get on it. Oh, I don't need to carry a toolbox there. I'm E6. I'm CDI. Well, your day check CDI is always carrying a toolbox and always getting shit done.
But did you ever question the soundness of having what sounds like a weaker, CDI in addition to, I guess it sounds like a weaker, 81 on night check? Seems like nights would have the stronger team.
Well, it's funny you mention that, sir, because I just talked to you know him, sir. Yeah, he's my next door neighbor, so I've been kind of calling him. He was skipper of 14 back in 2000, I think, and he was the Mo and all that. And he was, I was talking to him about some of the issues we've been having. He's like, you should think about moving your stronger players to nights where more work gets done. Because I'd always thought about, hey, if you want a bird to fly, you want your strong guys on days to get the, to be able to troubleshoot. But it's definitely a different way, Since I've had no say in it anyway, it hasn't really mattered. But it was an interesting idea to me to start putting our stronger guys on nights, and I've actually brought that up to Senior Chief. He said when we go back to, it's not going to be till probably after we get all these birds done at Osan that we go back to a 2-shift day. But when we do, I think that's going to be one of the big changes we make, is putting our stronger suit on nights to get the work done and done right, and then deal with what happens during the day on days. Let them focus on dailies, turnarounds, and hopefully little troubleshooting, because our night guys get it done right. It's just a different idea that I think I'm going to push for and try.
Other board member says, you touched a little bit on training. Were they actually doing the training, or was it just documented training?
Just documenting training. When I first got out here, one of the first, when I started talking about training and everything, I started seeing, when you guys do training? Oh, we do it on Monday mornings. Okay. So that Monday I showed up, no training got done. Everybody's out working on the aircraft, doing different stuff, and and then at the end of the day, I see these, so I, kind of come and go, give them their space and everything, and at the end of the day, there's all these, muster sheets for training that had been done that day. When did you guys get all this done? Oh, sir, throughout the day, we like to do it. But, following Monday, I come in a little later in the day, and, the sheets were just sitting on the desk, and, hey, make sure you guys sign the training sheets before we do turnover. And that was with Chief, who's now out of the Navy, as I understand it. And I talked to him about it, told him, this is ridiculous. You can't honestly say that you think this is a good idea. Well, sir, I really don't give a shit. Oh, okay. All right. Guess I know where you stand on that, Chief.
Other board member says, when did he leave?
Probably a week, maybe a week before the mishap. As I understand it, he's out of the Navy now. He wasn't doing he wasn't doing his people's evals. He wasn't doing it. He was, and when I came to asked about it, no, he's on his way out. He's not worried about that. So, okay.
Senior placed him?
Yes, senior placed him.
Other board member says, what's your take on his style over what left?
On senior, I think he's. We're still getting to know each other, but it's at least with what he says is much better. We've working with him, I've put an end to the gun decking training, which I considered a win. We've sat down and we actually, when the mishap and everything happened, he was still, hey, you take care of training jackets and whatever the Mo asks you to take care of. Other than that, you just leave me to my people. And it was very standoffish about everything. As all this stuff's unfolded and I've continued to be involved, and it's pissed him off to no end. He's violently angry at me sometimes for being so involved. But I think we're starting to come to an understanding where we now have a meeting every single day. We talk about what's going on, talk about the troops, try to figure out who needs what and how we can do things better. He's letting me at least say my piece on manning and personnel and everything. One of my big things I told him was like, listen, man, I'm a JO. Your job is to train me, and you will do it. It's gonna be miserable for you until you start training me. So he's stepped up and he's come a long way with me. And just getting, letting him know that I'm paying attention to everything that's going on, and trying to hold him accountable, and he and I, trying to do the mom and dad thing and work as a team, take care of the younger guys, and trying to get the E6s more involved, because they haven't been doing much of anything as E6s in the maintenance department. Things are getting a lot better. Things have gotten, I'd say, infinitely better than they were for the first while I was out here.
Other board member says, has the Mo tried any mentoring or just pretty much pushing you?
Well, it's a really interesting dynamic. with the Mo and me and senior chief and the OIC, because the Mo knows maintenance. I don't. I'm trying to learn it, and it doesn't make any sense for me to answer to a warrant officer, but in this case, that's where I put myself. And then, so he kind of oversees me and senior chief together. And the Mo was, very standoffish as well. You stay the hell out of my business, and I'll stay the hell out of yours, and we're all going to be good. And I told him that wasn't how this was going to work. I was going to, keep bothering him until he would give me stuff that I could help him do. And now he's starting to give me jobs, and it works out a lot better because I stay busy and I'm not in his stuff, and he's not as busy, and it works out pretty good. But because he's working on the supply stuff, he's working on the maintenance and the planning and stuff, and so. We did not get along for a long time, but we're starting to get along a lot better. And I think he was very much about this is the way it's always been done. This is the way I've always done it. This is the way Home Guard does it. This is the way And I think he's since realized that that's not the way things are going to happen anymore. That I'm going to hold him to a higher standard than what our Home Guard does, because as far as I'm concerned, it's got to be wrong. Like, there's no way what they're doing is right. So, so he's holding me accountable for stuff. I'm holding him accountable for stuff, and our working relationship's getting a lot better. So, I mean, things are definitely improving through all this, for sure.
Other board member says, engine change. What involvement did you have with helping with the maintenance with the engine change?
With the engine change, I had very little. That was all night. That was night check, and they had it in the next day. The FCU change, however, I came in around, if you look at my statement, I think it was 10 or 11 o'clock that morning. Hey guys, because the FCF was going on, they couldn't get this engine in. They've been working on it for 2 days. Well, what's going on? Well, sir, it's looking like we're going to have to change out an FCU. And we had our guys on 12 on, 12 off for 2 weeks or something. Everybody's just beat down and miserable, and it seems like this is never going to end, and they're not getting it. So I was like, what, guys, I'll get out there and we'll change an FCU. So I got out there, and I mean, I was the worker with Mr. was our QA, and the three of us working together. Took the engine off and. Or took the FCU off. Had somebody else who took the old FCU off, who took the one that was on the bird off.
Other board member says, so you took the one off the foddered bird?
The FCU off the foddered bird, and we took, we brought it out there, and well, sir, you come this far, you might as well help us do. All right, let's keep going then. And we had the tough book, and QA was overseeing what we were doing, and hey sir, you can't do that. That's CDI stuff there. Okay, all right, go ahead in this area, you do what you do. All right, QA, you checking that? Yep, we're good. All right, let's continue on. And doing that built a lot of confidence for me. Built a lot of confidence in my guys. It was a seemingly, like, as far from a pilot's perspective, a huge ordeal. And just watching them break it down, and hey, we're going to do it. What's the pub say next? All right, it says put this on or do this. And okay, see the picture here, and all right, these bolts go here. And we got anything left? Nope. Okay, all right. Now QA, got to do your checks and everything. And then the leak checked it and everything else. All right, it's good. Came in, FCF'd it.
Other board member says, so the pub was there?
Oh yeah, Tough Book was there the whole time.
So in your opinion, the process, the way it worked with you guys out there that day, the process worked the right way?
Absolutely.
Done right?
Without question, yeah.
Do you feel as though that's not always the case on other maintenance?
Well, I know it's not the case with other maintenance. I know they weren't reading pubs when they FOD'd the engine on night check. I know they weren't reading the pubs when they blew the 2 CADs on night check. I mean,
what about the engine install, do you think?
I'm trying to remember if I saw the Tough Book out there, because I came out to see how they were doing, and I know the CDI was out there. I don't remember seeing it visually, but I mean, my confidence in it, because I know they don't use it all the time. I know they haven't used it when they were supposed to use it before. So there's no real reason for me to believe that they used it then. I don't know, but like I said, I don't have a lot of confidence in my night check.
So if they didn't have the pub out there, well,
but you can't quote me on that because I don't know.
But I mean, if on other maintenance, where there's whatever, how are they getting the maintenance done? Are they just going off of memory? Is that what they would be doing? I mean, I don't know
I think
any
so.
other way you could do maintenance without the pub.
Well, for the way it was explained to me was for stuff that people do all the time. Like he can recite to you what the pub says about testing the CADs on the guillotines. He can recite it.
Other board member says, at least what it said the last time he read it, or the way he used to do it.
Well, I mean, he even recited to me the steps that he didn't do because he didn't feel like it. Like, he even knew those steps. Like, did you do that? No.
That was on the CADs issue?
Yeah. And, I mean, the dude as far as the power, the engine wash and all that, I mean, obviously no one's read that pub in a long time, because as soon as anyone opened up, oh crap, like, we're breaking this, that became very clear immediately. But, so they were just doing engine washes the way they've always done, or I guess, engine washes. They were just doing the way they were taught to do them, and the way everybody always does them is what everybody, that's the way Home Guard does it.
Other board member says, has anybody addressed the concern as far as the lack of tough books as the reason why they don't?
I thought, like, we only have 2 down there, and then we got 1 in tactics, and someone else has 1, MCM maybe, or I don't know who has the other one, but I always thought that would be an issue, but I've never heard him complain about it.
Other board member says, nobody's complained to you about it?
No, sir. And I thought, I was like, hey, do we have another tough book? Well, no, sir, we don't need one. We got 1 for each aircraft. But what if 2 people are doing? Yeah, it's funny being in maintenance. I think it's probably different for you, but a lot of this stuff, when I talk to these guys, it's like circular logic. Like, so what if 2 people are working? They just look at each other. Like,
other board member says, when's that going to happen?
like, well, I mean, like,
Other board member says, when you've got 40 people on day check, there's never a chance that...
That'll never happen, sir. Oh, okay.
Other board member says, how many folks do you actually have on the aircraft maintenance side?
Right now, I want to say it's 34. I could be 1 or 2 off on that. We just lost her. I don't know if she's actually considered a worker right now or not. But her issues.
Other board member says, you said the night check, you're sure in many cases where they haven't been using the tough book. Did you observe it on day check?
No. And that's one of those, I don't know if it's because, well, first of all, we've had, most of the work I've done and I've got infinite confidence in all of those guys. All of them, they are all legit. They're good to go. Locked on, hard working, keep their programs on track. They'll, hey, what is this? Oh, sir, this is what it does, this is how it works, do you have any other questions? They know their stuff. They don't hide from you. They're not. They're interested in their job and they're proud of what they do. Other folks, not always the case. Those guys are good.
Other board member says, did he come to you and talk to you about as far as some issues, concerns that he had with the engine change or fuel control change?
Yeah, he came out to me probably like a week And well, he was really distraught about it right after, and he was really upset. And I dealt with him on 2 other issues since then. So I think that this was, I think he said that he had written up the IPs for him, and then he signed them. And he realized later that I think this is that he didn't. I think they didn't use the proper torque wrench, maybe. That they hadn't. I think this is the one he didn't torque. He said he didn't torque them down per the pub using the proper wrench. I think is what he said. And I don't know if that was for the engine, because I know they had finished it up that morning before I got there. So I don't know if that was for the engine or for the FCU. But he was definite. Because I guess like instead of putting like in accordance with the pub, which was I think what he expected there to be, she had said like she had actually like written out the step and the exact torque that it was supposed to be, and he was like, "Sir, like I've never torqued those down with a torque. I guess there's a torque wrench that actually like clicks at that proper torque." Showing my knowledge of maintenance, but he said he didn't actually use that wrench to do that job. He said he did, do leak checks and everything else, and everything checked good. And he's done this a bunch of times before. But he said he did not torque. Am I talking about the? We're all talking about the same thing here. I think that's the one I'm talking about.
Did you mention which line, by chance?
Other board member says, was it lines? Was it bolts? Was it
Fuel? Was it oil?
Other board member says, did he specify?
What was he concerned about?
No, I don't know that. I was under the impression it was bolts, but now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of those lines you have to. I don't know if you have to torque each line down individually to a certain specified thing.
But he was concerned about something. Something was not done.
He did not do exactly as it said it.
Other board member says, so he recognized it later, so was he not using the pub when he did the maintenance?
Well, when I got out there, the pub was there on that same job. I never even questioned whether they had just brought the pub out for me to beat when I was there, or if it had always been there, because it was there when I got there. It was on the, they took it off the bird, brought it in to do the FCU change.
Other board member says, I'm just curious how he realized later that he made a mistake, because if he was using the pub, then it should have told him exactly what to do the first time.
And I think this is a problem coming back from Home Guard that, hey, we just, we're doing the job. Like, did you do the job per the pub? Well, yeah. Yeah, but did you do the job per the pub? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Well, no, but I did it how Home Guard does it. Well, yeah, but I can tell you that when we were doing the FCU change, we were looking at the pub, reading the steps, making sure, and it was sitting on the number 2 engine there, like reading the steps, making sure that that every single one of them was taken care of. Now, what happened with I never saw that happen, or knew about it until a week ago.
Other board member says, why was he so concerned about it? Was it something he thought could have contributed to this?
No, he was worried about the paper trail. Knowing that maintenance was going to be coming out and looking through each of the things, and he was worried that someone's going to ask him specifically, did you specifically do exactly this? Did you specifically do exactly that? He said, he's like, sir, we leak checked it. It checked good. I double checked all my work. Everything was on there the way it was supposed to be. Which, was it on there the way it was supposed to be? Well, obviously it wasn't technically, because he didn't use the proper torque wrench. But he said everything was on there the way it was supposed to be, and I leak checked it, and we flew it, and everything, and we double checked it again, and everything looked good. So, I don't know, I guess I'm told it's a common issue with maintenance that, you can do it, there's the right way and then there's the pub way on a lot of the stuff, which, there should not, but that's the climate. That's what we deal with back home. From talking to people about all this stuff, as I understand it, like back when air crewmen were maintainers, those guys were the QA and CDIs, and those were like the base of knowledge, and the other maintainers could work off of that and understood, and those guys like knew tricks and knew stuff that wasn't in the pubs and understood the systems better than the pubs did, and then so they taught their maintainers that way. But the maintainers didn't understand. Maintainers knew that you could cut this corner, but they didn't understand why they were cutting, why these CDIs and QA guys were cutting this corner. And was it right then? No. They should have put in for a pub change or something if they had a better or different way of doing it. But so then the maintainers were, all they knew is they could cut this corner and it still worked. Well, if you could cut that corner, well, why not cut other corners? Well, back when we had super knowledgeable people, they could tell you why you can't cut that corner. But we don't have that anymore. So now people are just cutting corners.
You described that, well, that's just how we do it home guard, or people saying that to you. People specifically say that to you when you question them about whether they were following the pub step by step on certain jobs.
That is the base of this whole engine FOD incident. Oh, well, home guard uses the same thing, and we've always used it. This thing's been out here for several years, and before that we had another one that was just like it. Well, did anyone ever read? We don't have to read the pub. This is the one we've always had. It's not my fault that I FOD'd the engine because this guy gave it to me and told me it was okay to use. That's, and thus the witch hunt begins, and no officer has bothered to take the time to, this kind of thing has come up infinitely in this, and every divo, every person is just like backed off. Like, you know what? Like, you can't. Who do I chase down? The supply officer from 5 years ago, or the maintenance master chief from before master chief? Who is at fault? I don't know.
So you're suggesting that the training failure, the cultural failure, has simply been allowed to perpetuate over time without any process in place to really curtail the effects of it.
Yeah, there's no checks and balances. The officer leadership has been non-existent.
If somebody gets involved, then 6 months later when they leave, it just goes back to the way it was.
If it changes at all while that person's in there. I don't know.
Other board member says, Wes, in your opinion, is this a command climate issue?
Yes, absolutely. Without question.
Other board member says, so at some level in this command, whether it's the top, whether it's the middle, the MO.
It's been there as long as I've been in the squadron. Maintenance does its magical thing, and we've got the runs our maintenance department. Our MO has little to no say. Divos have little to no say. No one gives them any backbone or backup in what they do. If you talk to any Divo, first couple weeks I went into the shop, I realized they were doing this, so I tried to fix it. The MO told me to lay off. XO told me to lay off. So I signed my training jackets and went about my business. Because,
Other board member says, are you speaking in generalities, or do you have a specific thought in mind, a specific person, a specific event?
Well, for instance, talking about the training stuff, I talked about it because when I'm signing these training jackets, I realized that he was a Divo in the past on a lot of these guys. Hey man, why are these training jackets so messed up? Well, I tried to do this, I tried to do that, went to the MO, he told me to leave it alone because the guys got to work and they got to do their own thing. And I mean, what divo after your mo tells you to leave it alone? Why would you continue to smash your head into a wall? That doesn't make any sense.
Are you talking about the mow on dead or the mow at home?
Mow at home. The one who just left. And I mean, I don't know where it became okay for officers to say, "I'm a hands-off leader," because so they just don't show up. They don't do anything. They don't have a pulse on their people. They don't have a pulse on their shop. They don't have any idea what's going on in there. But I sign lead chits, and I'm a hands-off leader. And that's what I've dealt with. That's what was expected of me coming out here. That's what maintenance expected of me, and that's what that's what the other officers expected of me.
Other board member says, "Hey Wes, what do you think happened for the reasons we're here to 5-2? I mean, you've seen it, you've heard."
Sir, haven't been out there and I honestly think it was that somehow there was a fluke thing that happened in 5-2 in that engine. I mean, flew 4 hours. It was good. No issues. Everything else checked good on it.
Other board member says, "So everything you've told us up to this point?"
Yeah, and that's what's crazy about what I'm saying is I don't have faith in the maintenance system, but I have faith in the guys who change that engine. I have faith.
Other board member says, "The night check that you don't have as much faith in was involved in the process too, though."
Yeah. But again,
Other board member says, "Yeah, but you can have all the, well, yeah."
That's my take. I don't know. That's my take on it. Whatever. If and you're right. Could it flew. The engine worked well, and both looked at that engine a lot. And if those two guys look at an engine and tell me it's good, I believe it's good. Just from working with them and dealing with I think they're both very competent guys. I mean, I get after a lot, but I get after him because he's a young E5 with a lot of responsibility for his pay grade, and I think he could go a long way if he gets out of the command climate and culture that our squadron has, and if he holds himself accountable, that dude's going to go a long way. But I mean, I think it was a good engine. I mean, I think that the maintainers did a good job changing that FCU and changing that engine. Because I went out there and I watched them check it, and I think it's good.
Wes, in the time leading up to the mishap, you said you were in the process of engaging, working with the mower to change things, and what was the reception from the upper leadership about? Did you communicate to the OIC? Was there any
we talked a lot. We when I wasn't getting the answers that I wanted from the Mo and from senior chief about maintenance stuff, I was coming to the OIC about it, and we were working together on trying to figure out how we can beat this stuff and how we can do things better.
So you didn't feel like he was telling you to shut up?
Not at all. He was. That was. I mean, I've known him for a while now, and he's like me. If something smells a little funny, or he's going to go poking around and keep looking until he finds what he's looking for. I mean, there were a lot of days he'd come over. He knew things weren't as they should be over there too. I mean, he was over there all the time. The Mo kept telling us we needed to leave and let the people work because we were making people uncomfortable. And committing was, well, you're going to have to tell them to be uncomfortable then until I get the answers I want on this stuff. I'm just going to keep on coming around. And Yeah, but he continued to encourage me and continues to encourage me to get more involved, stay involved in what's going on in the shop.
I just have one more question real quick. You could just enlighten me. As far as process goes, breakdown in the safety process out on the dead, breakdown in communication, workings with the maintenance, whatever, what have you. You mentioned several other, not just QA investigations, but other mishap investigations previous to this.
Just one. The only other one I know about is the FOD leading up to the mishap.
FOD and the CADs. Okay.
Well, the CADs, that wasn't a mishap, that was a QA investigation.
Anything come of it? Well, did safety get involved in that, or?
No, it ended with the mow. I don't really understand that, why it doesn't go anywhere else, but yeah, it ends with a mow. That's it.
Anybody asked that question? You said
I asked it.
You said it was because people weren't following procedures.
Yeah. He said, okay, I'm going to file it away. It's going to stay right here. We're going to do training. We're going to have these people do training, and we're going to counsel them.
And Mo told you that?
Mm-hmm. And we had who was our AO. She got counseling, and she did training, and then Mr. did the same thing for.
Do you think there's a connection between the training breakdown and the command climate breakdown, the communication breakdown between how that was handled in comparison to how things are being handled leading up to this?
I don't think there's any question that all this stuff is interwound and related to each other. It's got to be. That's what makes the climate what it is.
When he said that it was going to end with him, did the OIC even find out about it?
I told the OIC. If I don't get the answer I want in my chain of command, especially since the guy's not really my boss, I'll go around him anytime I need to.
Do you think the OIC would have found out if you had not been the one to bring to it? Do you think that there's other things?
No, maintenance. Another issue with our maintenance department is they like to, they say they handle things at the lowest level. They want to keep everything in the shop. They try not to, and understandably, because no officers actually knows what the hell's going on down there anyway. So, are you really going to go up to somebody who never pays attention to what you're doing? Like, hey, my guy's messed up about this, or my guys did this wrong. No, you're going to handle it in-house.
If you had to summarize the failure, would severe training, standardization, and proficiency failure be in any way appropriate to describe everything you just discussed?
I'd say so. Severe training and proficiency. I think those two things go hand in hand. If you're not training your people properly, how can they do the job properly?
What about standardization?
Absolutely. There's a reason why we have the tough books. There's a reason why we have these posts. And if our kids aren't being properly taught how to use them, what's the point? They don't tell me to go fly the helicopter without showing me NATOPS and telling me I need to know about it. These guys don't. I don't know. It's a different world down there, and no one's looked in on it in a long time. So they just do what they do. Do what's comfortable for them.
Other board member says something, you kind of hit on it. I think you did there. The command climate, he mentioned training and standardization. What else can you throw in there? Maintenance leadership, work hours, the fact that you're here in Korea. Just everything just kind of comes together and makes it.
Yes, sir. I think this could have happened at home just as easily it could have happened out here. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that, we're on debt. Because it's more the same at home. You deal with the same stuff at home as you do out here. We're short people. We're short manning. Is a big issue. If you have more CDIs and QAs, then there'll actually be some competition for them to have to do a good job and stay up on their stuff. As of now, you're untouchable. You've got no one else to do your job for you, so you're it.
Other board member says, okay, anybody got anything else?